And schedule. Sorry for the late start. Once again, we had a little technical problem. Everything was set up with the links, and then the whole thing just shut down at exactly 11 o'clock. So we're 15 minutes late. I appreciate everyone hanging in there, coming back. Oh, James is here. This is great. Let's see what James has to say. Oh, James, good morning, Mike. Good morning, James. This is great. Perfect timing. Just got back from my 1 hour walk. Fantastic. I'm going to take my 90-minute 2 hour walk today right after this this live stream. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's kind of an interesting live stream. I'll explain the whole thing, and then we'll get the whole thing going. But let's say, if you're new to me, my name is 𝙒𝘏𝙏𝙏. I've been a fitness trainer, gym owner for over 30 years. I opened my first gym in New York in 1989. I've helped thousands of people lose weight and just get in amazing shape to look and feel their best. All right, so this will be a lot of fun. Let's go over this 8-week workout and intermittent fasting program. But it's kind of interesting. I kind of set it up with these goals in mind. This is what I'm going to do over the next 8 weeks. I'm going to try to increase my muscle mass without necessarily putting on any body fat, because it's really difficult to increase your muscle mass unless you go into a positive energy balance. And what I mean by a positive energy balance is that I'm going to increase my calories. I may not do it every day, but I'm going to explain it in great detail. But I'm definitely going to up my calories. I'm going to increase my protein. I'm going to try to gain about 3 or 4 pounds, before the summertime, over these next 8 weeks. So if you want to go through this challenge with me, it could be a lot of fun. It's interesting because I am turning 60 in August, so I'm going to try to look really good and feel good for my 60th birthday. I tried to do it last summer. I know you guys were following me, and it didn't work out for me last year. With COVID and with a whole bunch of different things happening in the summer, I tried to do this closer, in the heart of the summer. But I find in general, I think spring is probably a better time if you're looking to put on muscle, because then once the summer comes, you can do a little bit of a cut, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try to put on muscle over the next 8 weeks. And then once the summer starts, then I'm going to start cutting back, and I try to lower my body fat. I'm not going to try to do it both at the same time, so which I think is probably a better way to do it. Hey, Rob, thanks for showing up, Rob. I appreciate it. Good morning to you as well. That's great. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to put on muscle over the next 8 weeks, gain about 3 or 4 pounds, and we're gonna be in a positive energy balance most of the time. That means I'm going to be eating a little bit more, and then after the 8 weeks, I'm going to reduce my body fat. Manish is here too. Manish, sometimes off in the UK, that's great. I also, once again, I'm having a little bit of problem with the comments. I saw this comment on my phone, and then it came late. But let's do the best we can. London, UK, 4:20 here. Wow, that's great. I appreciate you doing it. Oh, Alma's here too. Hey, Alma, this is great. You made it. Fantastic. I even told, I used to work in the gym with Alma literally 35, 40 years ago, which is incredible. Alma's a great massage therapist, fitness instructor. She's really educated and really smart when it comes to fitness. And I also told Bill and Jen, who we all work together in this gym, to watch this live stream as well. They might be here. Hopefully they are. So maybe they can say hello to you in the chat if they are here, which will be a lot of fun. Let's go. All right, let's get this thing going. Okay, so this is going to be. Hey, Rose is here too. Hey, Rosie. Good morning, Rose. Thanks for showing up. That's great. Rose is going to help me out with this whole thing too. Okay, so let's go over this whole pretty much workout plan, what I'm going to do over the next 8 weeks. And let's talk about the general concepts for the resistance training part of the workout. So we'll go through the resistance training, and then I'm going to map out what I'm going to do every day, and I'll explain it to you in great detail. Then we'll go over the diet plan, the type of foods I'm going to be eating. Then we'll go over the intermittent fasting schedule, the exact fasting schedule I'm going to follow. And then at the end, I always like to end it with giving you some examples of some meals I'm going to be eating. Hey, Gene is in the house too. Hey, Gene is here every time I go live. I really appreciate it. I'm curious to know how you're doing too. We'll talk about it as this live stream goes on. Okay, so this is going to be the general philosophy and concept of the resistance training. I'm definitely going to do some type of progressive overload because you have to. And progressive overload doesn't necessarily mean that you're lifting heavy weights. Even though I'm going to increase my weights, it just means that pretty much at the end of this 8-week cycle, my goal is to be just working harder in the gym. So I probably will be getting stronger. My goal is to be a little bit stronger. It's pretty much the main goal, though, is just to make the workouts harder and progressively harder. So I'm going to start off not that hard, but the last maybe 2 or 3 weeks of this 8-week cycle, I'm going to be really going for it, almost maximum effort towards the end. Oh, Harriet's here too. Everyone's here. This is great. Thanks for showing up, Harriet. I really appreciate it. That's great. Okay. So that's a general goal, and that's a general definition, in my opinion, of progressive resistance. You can make the workout harder so many different ways. Either maybe you can rest less between sets, you can do more sets, you can make the weight heavier, you can increase the volume. But the main gist of it is you just want to be working out harder as you progress through this 8-week cycle. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 6 training sessions per week with weights, which is more than I typically do, but I'm going to kind of up it over these next 4 weeks, right? My workout's going to last about 75 minutes. I'm going to describe a workout that I'm going to be doing in my gym, but if you have questions and you want to modify this routine and do this along with me and you're working out at home, we can do that as well, so just ask your questions. I'm going to train upper body Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then we're going to do a lower body Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, so a typical split. And if you notice that I made a little asterisk here, knee, I have a bad knee. I had this knee operation like 14, 15 years ago, a bad result, and my knee has never been the same. So I'm going to talk about how I'm going to be training my lower body, which is working around this knee injury. But you may want to do different things, and we'll talk about that too. But I'll explain that in great detail. I'm going to do about a total of 10 to 15 sets per body part per week. That's what the research is coming in at for the put on muscle hypertrophy, about 10, 15 sets, maybe even a little bit more. I'm going to keep the rep range anywhere between 8 to 20 repetitions. That's my favorite rep range. And I use a relatively slow rep cadence, meaning that the speed in which I lift the weight is going to be relatively slow. I'm going to use a 4 or 5 second rep cadence. So for example, the concentric contraction when the muscle is shortening. Say you're doing a push-up, I'm going to push up for 2 seconds, but I'm going to lower myself, say, for 3 seconds. So I'm going to go do a little bit of a slower eccentric contraction. Let's see what Jean's got to say. 75 minutes of just resistance training, no cardio. It's going to be a combination, Jean, you'll see, because when we get to, I'm going to do, I'll explain it in great detail, but I'm going to do cardio on my lower body resistance training days because my knee has to do that. Like I have to really, really warm my knee up. So I'm going to do 30 minutes of cardio on my lower body day, which is going to be, a good portion of the workout right there. And I'll explain it to you in great detail. But on the upper body day, it's just going to be resistance training. And I always do mobility movement. So even when I say 75 minutes, it's probably only going to be 60, 65 minutes of good work. The rest is going to be warm up, cool down, and mobility movement, which I always do. Okay, so 8 to 20 reps, relatively slow rep cadence. And my goal is for each exercise that I'm doing, and you're going to see the exercise. I do a lot of drop down sets. I'll explain to you what that means. I do a lot of supersetting where I do one thing to the next. I do a lot of pre-exhaustion. But if I'm doing, say, 2 or 3 sets of the same exercise, the first set will probably be a warm-up, and I'll probably go for it on the last set. And maybe towards the end of this 8-week cycle, like week 7, week 8, maybe I'll do 2 sets to momentary muscle failure because I want to do that progressive overload, right? I'm a big believer also in keeping continuous tension on the muscle being worked, meaning that I'm not going to do any of that lockout type training. This is a little bit more of a hypertrophy type routine where once you put tension on the muscle, I'm going to maintain that tension on the muscle the whole time and close the muscle down. Like I want the metabolites to build up. Like a general rule, there's maybe like 3 different ways in which muscles grow, which you put on muscle. One way is called metabolic stress, where you pump the muscle up. Lactate, hydrogen, builds up in the muscle. You get that burn. That creates protein synthesis, right? Then you have muscle damage. You make those little teeny microscopic tears within the muscle. That can help with hypertrophy put on muscle. And then there's muscular tension, where you're just working hard, lifting heavier weights, or just like straining in the gym. And that creates a response as well. So we're going to be using all 3 techniques. But since I'm older and I'm a little bit banged up, with different type of injuries, I prefer that continuous tension metabolic stress is going to be my primary driver for muscle hypertrophy. And then one major change in how I'm going to put myself into a positive energy balance is I'm going to add like a pre and post workout shake or meal. And I'm going to explain that in great detail as we go through this whole thing. if you have any questions, let me know too. And then also, I'm going to go over all these exercises. And this, like I said, this is geared to a gym. If you have some equipment, you have some dumbbells. But if you want to ask me some questions about how to do this, I think I'm clipping a little bit with the sound. I'm going to lower the volume slightly. If you want me to modify this routine for you to do it at home, let me know. And actually, Krill, who's in here all the time, he wanted me to do a video on like how to put on muscle. So this is kind of, I think, would be really appropriate for the video that he wanted as well. Okay, so let's go over like a typical upper body workout. This is my Monday, Wednesday, Friday workout. I didn't put a warm up in here, but I generally will warm up. I make it on the Stairmaster, I make it on the elliptical just for 5 minutes. If you're home, you can jump rope. You just want to increase your body temperature. That's what the term warming up is. When you increase your body temperature, the muscles become just more warm. The viscosity synovial fluid within the joints gets more lubricated. It's just a good way to prepare yourself mentally and just physically, for a workout. And I'm going to start off with like bigger body parts to smallest. Like a general rule is, you pretty much, in my opinion, if you're training your whole body in one day, you don't want to start like training your arms first, because your biceps and triceps and even shoulders can be weak links. When you do these big compound movements like a seated row, when you're doing a row or you're doing a chin-up or a lat pull-down, sometimes it's your forearms or your biceps that tire out before the big muscles work. So you don't want to like train your arms before you train your chest and back. So I'm going to do, this is a typical hypertrophy type workout. I'm going to start with just a seated row, and I'm sure you're familiar with that. You sit down and you just row the weight to you. But what I'm going to do is, like, for example, let's say I do one set of 15 repetitions with that slow rep cadence, but then with no rest right after my seated row, I'm gonna like stand up and go right over and do a standard cable pullover, which is kind of interesting. Where you grab the ropes and you pull it right down to your side. The interesting thing about a standard cable pullover is that you're training your lats, you're training your back without your biceps. So it's kind of like, I would call this reverse pre-exhaustion. I don't know if you're familiar with pre-exhaustion. Pre-exhaustion was really popular from Arthur Jones, from Nautilus equipment, and the whole concept was that you would pre-exhaust the muscle to eliminate the weak links. Like, I know it could be a little complicated. Look at it like this. Let's say you're doing a push-up, right? Which everyone understands, you're pushing up, right? You're doing a push-up to work your chest primarily, but it also works your anterior deltoid, also works your shoulder, and also works your tricep. So sometimes when people are doing push-ups or people are doing bench press and things like that, it's not your chest that gets tired. It's actually your shoulders or your triceps. So if you first did a movement that just isolated your chest before you did your push-up, but like you pre-exhaust your chest, you can really fatigue your chest better. So for example, you would do like a pec deck, which really works primarily just your chest, a little bit of anterior deltoid, but mostly your chest. And then without rest, you quickly go to a pressing movement like a bench press. That's pre-exhaustion. What I'm talking about here is almost the opposite, is like reverse pre-exhaustion, which I kind of like. So I'm doing a seated row, no rest, which works my back, right? My biceps, my grip, my forearm. And then I'm quickly going to an isolated movement just for my lats, a standard cable pullover. I love working out like that. Plus, it keeps the pace going. And I'll probably do like one warm-up set and then 2 work sets. In the beginning of this 8-week cycle, I may not go to failure. But in the last few weeks, I will, either for 1 or 2 sets. Okay, so say I do 3 good, nice sets there on my upper seated row. Then I'm going to go to a lat pull down, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with. It's like doing a pull-up, with the bar. But I'm going to use that same concept. I'll do, say, 12, 15 reps, maybe even 18 reps or so of a lat pull down. Then with no rest, I'm going to go right to that standing cable pullover again. Same concept. Because when you're doing a lat pull down, it's most likely your biceps that are going to fatigue before your lat does, before your back does. So I'm going to go right to an isolated movement. And I love that sequence. And this can take me maybe 10, 15 minutes to go through, say, 6 sets of here, which can be even more. Can be, those 6 sets, because you're doing 2, you're doing those like, reverse pre-exhaustion sets, it becomes a lot more. So I love training my back like that. And I hope you're following with me with these exercises. If you have any questions about them, I can always maybe next time pull some videos. And if you go to the main YouTube channel, I have all these exercises on the YouTube channel, either in shorts Or I made videos years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, where I went through this exact reverse pre-exhaustion routine if you want to learn exactly how to do them. But you can do them at home with bands too as well, okay? So after after I train my back, I'm going to move to my chest. Real simple, but I'm using the same concept, that reverse pre-exhaustion. We'll do a set of dumbbell bench presses, and then with no rest, I'm going to go right to a set of cable flies. So same concept, right? I'm trying to fatigue my chest. When I'm doing my dumbbell bench presses, it's most likely my triceps that are going to fatigue. So now I'm going to just a cable motion, which doesn't really work my triceps, so I can really get that great burn on my chest. And this is what I mean by metabolic stress and continuous tension, like pump type training. This is a hypertrophy type routine. Not necessarily, you're going to get stronger too, but it's not really a strength routine. I would call this more hypertrophy, because I want to put on some muscle over the next 8 weeks. We'll do the same thing there. Let's see with Gene. Okay. I'm working out at home. If I have only dumbbells and a mat and a stationary bike, well, you can do this to some degree. The one other thing I would probably want you to get, Gene, if you could, is maybe the bands. Because if you have those bands, you know, those resistance bands, they're so inexpensive. You can buy it on Amazon for like $10. Like, you can do a seated row with the bands. But you can even do this with dumbbells. So I would say, if you're doing this at home with dumbbells, I would do your normal dumbbell bench press, and then no rest, do a set of dumbbell flies. It'll be very similar to a cable crossover. I picked the cable crossover, first of all, because, you know, I have a lot of injuries. Like, I have a torn labrum. Labrum is that little, like, you know, that little cartilage ring in your shoulder. So I find like dumbbell flies bother my shoulder, but a cable fly doesn't. And the big difference is when you're doing a dumbbell fly, right, and the weights are out here, there's a lot of shearing force within the shoulder, because the weight is heaviest when your hands are out like this. So you're like, your humerus wants to slide, you know, in the shoulder joint. But when you're doing a cable fly, right, there's no tension really when your hands are here. The tension is when the muscle is fully contracted, and my shoulder is much stable. But I think it's just as good. You can do a dumbbell bench press, and then no rest, do a set of dumbbell flies. You know, same thing with like the dumbbell. If you want to do, you can do a dumbbell row, and then do a dumbbell pullover across the bench. So you can simulate these movements with dumbbells as well. But I think everyone should have a set of those bands, and they're great. I mean, because with a band, it's a high, low, mid pulley. There's an endless amount of exercise you can do with those resistance bands. And I like that brand, Spree, S-P-R-I. They're so inexpensive. I use them all the time. I got dozens of them in my gym. I have them in my house. I mean, I think it's a great thing to do. So we're gonna do the dumbbell bench press, and we're gonna do those cable crossover fly. Same thing, probably maybe 3 sets, probably two relatively hard work sets. And then I'm gonna use the same concept with push-ups. I'm gonna do a set of push-ups. I like to use a really slow rep cadence when I do my push-ups, and I actually use them on the bars, you know, because I like to keep my wrist a little bit straighter. Sometimes like a wrist extension kind of bothers my wrist a little bit. Sometimes I even tape my wrist now and then. I like a real slow, maybe a 6 or 7 eccentric, you know, contraction. So I go really, really slow, and maybe up for 2 seconds, no rest, right over to those cable flies. So Gene, for example, you can do a set of push-ups, no rest, do a set of dumbbell flies. If you have a bench, maybe if you did the dumbbells flat, maybe you did the dumbbell flies on an incline this time, just to mix it up a little bit. And you get that same concept of reverse pre-exhaustion. And that may be, what's that? Maybe that's 20, 25 minutes of chest and back. I think this is a great routine. I'm going to do that 3 days per week. Now I'm going to go to, since I talked about earlier, I'm always working around different injuries. I have that torn labrum in my shoulder. I got a little bit of tendonitis that comes and goes in my right shoulder too. And I had to, how I tore that labrum, I was snowboarding. This is like right before my kids were born. On that trip, me and my wife were out west. I think we were in Vail. I took a really bad fall. I heard my shoulder pop. My wife broke her ankle on that trip. It was a crazy trip. My shoulders never felt great ever since then, but maybe one day I'll get it fixed. But I had such a bad experience with my knee operation. I'm not in any rush to do like an elective orthopedic operation, at least not at this point. So I do some rotator cuff work, and bringing up Gene again, I do that with the bands, you know, that classic internal external rotation. So for example, to work the internal rotators, I would put the band there, slowly go in, external rotation. I put the band there, slowly rotate out. And I have videos all on the YouTube channel explaining all these exercises. Just put rotator cuff, internal, external rotation, my 𝑾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃. These videos will come up. I think those are great movements to do. It really warms the shoulder up for me. Takes a little bit of time, but I do them 3 days a week. Then I'm going to do my typical dumbbell lateral raise. You're probably familiar with that. You know, your dumbbells out to the side. I probably do 3 sets of lateral raises. And I always like to do, just like the reverse pre-exhaustion, I like drop down sets. So let's say I'm doing a lateral raise with a 15-pound dumbbell. I'll do my 15 reps, and then I just may grab 10-pound dumbbells and do a few more reps. I think Gene answered that question. And I like doing drop down sets. You know, it's a safe way to create a good response, and you don't have to go as heavy, and you just really get a great pump, you know, which is really good. I'm even going to talk about some supplements I'm taking which can help you get a pump later in this video, and, you know, in this live stream. And then I'm also do your classic dumbbell shoulder press straight up. After my lateral raise, I'll do a dumbbell shoulder press, like 3 sets. So say I'm maybe 3 and 3 here as well. And then I like to do a couple of different things. These dumbbell walk, shrug, scapular retraction. Let me explain what I mean by that. I do like to just grab dumbbells. Say I grab like 40-pound dumbbells, something like that, and I like to just walk with good posture. Great for grip strength, great for your trapezius. I like to walk forward and back within the gym. It builds overall body strength. I think it's a great thing to do. Plus, once you lift one leg off the ground when you're walking, you're gonna work, you know, 𝑾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃. It's just an overall, like, functional strength thing to do. Sometimes I'll even do like a fireman carry, where you only hold one dumbbell in one hand, and then you really challenge the opposite side. That's how you really hit like 𝑾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃, those muscles like on your side, which is great. Like where your love handles are, you really hit that. I like to always do something like that. Sometimes I may just do shrugs, where you're just shrugging dumbbells. And this is a real important exercise, scapular retraction. Scapular retraction just means like when you're pulling your shoulder blades back together. But I like to do it where you hold like a lat pull down bar and then retract. I find it makes my shoulder feel real good. So I'll do a combination of that to maybe 1 or 2 sets. Okay, and if I'm losing you on any of these exercises, ask your question, I'll explain them in more detail for you. So now, we did our back, we did our chest, right? We did a little rotator cuff work for the shoulder. Then we're doing our traditional shoulder hypertrophy type work. Then I'm going to do just a real classic tricep bicep workout. And I like to go no rest back and forth because they're antagonistic muscles. Like, for example, when you're making a bicep, right, what are you stretching? You're stretching your tricep. There's always a little bit of a co-contraction, but pretty much when your bicep contracts, your central nervous system sends an inhibition response for the tricep to relax. That's or else to be no movement, right? So I like to go back and forth. So I'll do like a set of tricep push down, say with the ropes, no rest, do a set of bicep curls. Okay, did Rob ask a question? I think Rob asked a question, but it didn't come up. Let me see what Rob said here. Maybe we got a technical problem here or something, and Rob's letting me know about it. Let's see. A couple friends from work are watching too. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Rob. So Rob is actually putting the word out and helping me get some followers. Let's see. What Bill? Hey, Bill Roberts. Hey, Mike. Checking in. Oh, Germany. Wow, that's cool. It's so incredible, isn't it? People from all over the world, you know, watch these live streams. I really appreciate it, Bill. Thanks for showing up. I've never been to Germany. Would love to go. I actually would love to go to Germany one day. I'm sure I will make it there, you know, which will be great. Thanks for showing up, Bill. I appreciate it. So I like to go like tricep, bicep because they're antagonistic. So you don't really, you know, when you're working one, you're somewhat resting the other. So, you know, tricep push downs, no rest, bicep curls, maybe do 2 sets of that. Keep in mind when you're training your chest and your back, right, you are working your biceps and triceps pretty good. So you don't have to do as much volume on your biceps and triceps. You know, your shoulders, you're always hitting your shoulders. You know, whenever you're training your chest, your back, or your shoulder has an anterior, medial, and posterior deltoid, you're always working your shoulders too, which is cool. And I'll do a couple of sets of those. And then same thing, then I'll do more of a tricep extension and maybe a cable bicep curl. See, I like to hit the arms from different angles. For example, when you're doing a tricep extension, your elbow is elevated. You know, there's different heads to this tricep. Tri meaning 3 different heads. You kind of hit the long head of your tricep. So I like to do a tricep extension with my arms over my head. Same thing with the bicep cable. I may lay on the ground and do some bicep cable curls, because then the weight's heaviest when the muscle is fully contracted. So I kind of like, you know, it's kind of, this is a hypertrophy bodybuilding type stuff, which is kind of interesting. And then I always like to do I always like to work on grip strength. I'll do some wrist flexion, extension, and then pronation, supination when I'm rotating. I'll hold like a bar, and I'll do all my different wrist type work. And then I always like to cool down with mobility movement, you know, like moving in all planes of motion, lubricate your spine. And this is like a nice, like maybe 75-minute workout. And I have all these exercises individually on the YouTube channel. So if you're watching this, you know, if you later and you're watching this, say, I don't know what that exercise is, I don't know what wrist pronation, supination is, just go to the YouTube channel, put in supination, pronation, put in wrist flexion, or put in internal external rotation, shoulder, and all these exercises are going to pop up for you. Okay, so just keep that in mind too. Okay, let's go to lower body. Okay, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, upper body, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, lower body. And this is like kind of answering Gene's question. Like, if I didn't have this knee issue, I probably wouldn't do my 30-minute aerobics before my leg workout. But I have to warm up my knee. Like, I used to squat like 405 pounds, and I did all these different things. And then first, how I hurt my knee, I tore my meniscus, and then I had this meniscus operation with just a horrible result. I mean, an intern did it, not the surgeon who promised me to do it, didn't do it. And I've been dealing with this knee problem for over a decade. And I'm doing something kind of interesting, which I'm going to talk about, that's helping my knee a little bit, that I would love everyone here to maybe experiment with. It's like backwards walking. There's a whole new concept of knee rehab called knees over toes, and we're going to talk about it in this live stream. So this is what I'm going to do Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I'm going to do 30 minutes of aerobics to start the session. Okay, my 2 favorite pieces, which are kind of really good, which are kind to my knee, is an elliptical trainer and a Stairmaster. Okay, and I'm going to use 2 different kinds of workouts. Well, let's say with Gene. I think Gene. Oh, thanks. Oh, see, Gene, every single time he gives me a super chat, I really appreciate it, Gene. That's really nice. Yeah, let's see what he says. I'm starting back my diet tomorrow after a month-long pause. I think that was good, Gene. I think you needed a pause, because I know Gene has been like aggressively dieting, like really restricting calories, doing like OMAD, intermittent fasting. He was doing great, but I think he felt like he needed a little bit of a break, which I think was a good idea. He upped his calories. Okay, I'm struggling to decide if I should include a workout regimen on a 600 calorie a day diet. You know, Gene, I would look at it like this. I would like you working out if you can. So I wouldn't drop calories so low to the point where you feel you can't work out. If you feel you can't work out, and I'm not talking about killing yourself, you know, you can do, like, it's not a routine. I don't want you doing a routine like this where you're spending 75 minutes. I mean, I know you know what you're doing. I mean, you can just do, I would want you walking, you spend 15, 20 minutes working out a day. I just want you to maintain your muscle mass when you're losing weight. But if you're going to go so low, like only 600 calories, and you're going to feel like you're so tired and you're not going to be able to work out, I would want you to eat more. Truthfully, Gene, I think you can easily go 1,200 calories, you know, and do incredibly well on that. Or maybe if you want to do these extreme low days, do a 600 calorie a day, do a 1,200 calorie day, maybe even do a maintenance day. I know you want to lose the weight, and I don't want to mess you up, because I know you're really motivated, but don't overdo it, you know? Okay, so let's go over this a little bit. So 30-minute workout, elliptical. I do a combination on the elliptical. That's probably my hard resistance, cardio workout for the week, where I get on the elliptical. I do a 15-minute steady state. Steady state means that your heart rate's pretty much steady, but I do a 5-minute progression, meaning that I go not that hard for 5 minutes, steady state. Then I make it harder for 5 minutes, but the last 5 minutes of my steady state is pretty hard. So if I'm 60, say, 220 minus your age, my max heart rate is 160. I'm pretty close. I'm probably, 155, 160-ish. For a solid 5 minutes, for that last 5 minutes. So that's a hard, steady state. And then after that, I do a 1 minute high intensity, 1 minute like hit split, meaning where I go easy for 1 minute, and then I go very hard for a minute. I go easy for a minute, I go very hard for a minute. And I must do that for the last 15 minutes of the 30-minute elliptical, and that's pretty hard. I have to say, I'm over my projected maximum heart rate. I'm probably in the high 160s. Sometimes I may even touch 170. So that's that, and I have to say, it's not that enjoyable. That's my hard, high intensity aerobic day. I typically only would do that once a week, but now, since I'm kind of kicking it up for these 8-week cycle, I just rotate back and forth. So some days I do it twice a week, doing it Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, because I'm substituting it between the Stairmaster and the elliptical. Sometimes it's only once a week, which I'm lucky that week. Okay, but that's my really hard, high intensity. But the other time when I'm doing my aerobics, I'll use the Stairmaster, and I use a 30-minute pyramid intensity, meaning that it starts off easy, and then it gradually gets harder. So it's not that hard, this particular workout. Maybe the last 10 minutes, I'm working somewhat hard. Maybe the last 5 minutes, I'm similar to this 15-minute steady state. For the last 4 or 5 minutes, I'm probably close to 160. But that's an enjoyable workout for me, that Stairmaster. It's not that taxing. It's ideal. So I like a combination of one very hard aerobic session, one moderate aerobic session. I feel like I'm getting best of both worlds. But I also walk every day, which we're going to talk about too. And now when it comes to my leg workout, truthfully, I can't do the things I would love to do. Like, I would love to squat a decent amount of weight. I would love to do like lunges with heavy dumbbells. I'd love to do, but with my knee, I have to be careful. But now that I'm kind of warmed up from getting off one of the aerobic pieces of equipment, the first thing I like to do is banded side step with squat. This is what I mean. Like, I'll put a band either on my ankles, a resistance band, or around, like, right above my knees, and I'll do that abduction. I get into like a mini squat, a quarter squat, and I walk laterally along the gym, slowly separating my legs. It really hits the glutes, hits glute medius minimus. It's great for your back. I love it. It's a great movement. And that I'll do maybe 25 steps this way, 25 steps that way, and then I'll do 20 squats, just body weight squats with abduction, pushing my knees out. See, the glute medius and minimus is a big fan-shaped muscle, and it attaches to a small point. So when you're squatting up and down, you're just hitting all the different fibers of the glutes and medius and glutes and medius, glutes and minimus. I think it's a great movement. Women love it. I have all the gals in my gym do it. They absolutely love it. It's a great movement. And I'll do 3 rounds of that. It's almost like a 5-minute sequence. My glutes are on fire by the end of that. And then I'll do some hip thrusts. You may be familiar with, some people may use the term bridge. You lay down. There's that guy, what's his name? Brett Contrast, the glute man, they call him. He really popularized the exercise, the hip thrust. You can look him up on YouTube if you want to really learn about how to do the hip thrust. But I'll just lay flat on the floor, maybe put a barbell along my hips, and I'll just do kind of a bridge, squeeze the glutes together real good. So I'm kind of hitting the glutes without putting any pressure on my knee, which I kind of like a lot. Then I will do some dumbbell squats, where I'll just hold dumbbells in each hand and I slowly go down. I don't kill myself on that because I have to be careful with my knees, but I do like that. Then I'll do some RDL, some Romanian deadlifts, hold a barbell, slowly go down with a nice flat back. So and then I also like to train my calves pretty good, which helps support my knee. And I like this workout a lot. And I'm probably doing 2-3 sets. I don't really go to failure on these things because I have to be a little careful with my knee. But if you're able to, I think it's a good thing for you to do. Do traditional squats and leg presses and lunges and things like that. I can't with my knee. Let's see what Gene's got here. Okay, definitely not doing anaerobic cardio and breaking point resistance training, but maybe 30 minutes of yoga. And I think that's good. No, I think that's good, Gene. I just want you maintaining your muscle mass. I think yoga's great. 30 minutes, I think that's great. Just do something. Just don't restrict calories so aggressively that you don't feel you have the energy to do something. But I think that's great. Stationary bike and yoga, I think that's great. Wonderful. And then I also, and then when I do my aerobics and I do my legs, since it's a relatively shorter leg workout, I always like to train my abs on my leg and cardio day. So I'll do, I love planks, rolling planks. I got some great videos. I did a whole live stream, I think, on rolling planks about a couple of years ago. But, just go to the YouTube channel, look up Mike Kohler planks, rolling planks, you'll see them. I roll from a forward position to a side position. I love that exercise. Then I do a bunch of ball challenges where I like non-movement exercises for the ab, for the core, because I don't necessarily like to aggressively flex my spine because I do have a bunch of herniated discs in my lower back. So I like to challenge neutral. So I like to get on the ball and do like churn the pot, and it kind of like, you remember that wheel exercise? You can simulate that with one of those Swiss balls. And I do a lot of planking and maybe even leg lifts. You're not really flexing your spine. So your hip flexors pull on your lower back and you're stabilizing it. So I do a lot of like non-movement challenge movements for the abs. I love it, and I like to do that when I'm doing my cardio and when I'm doing my lower body. And then I always cool down with a whole bunch of mobility movement, and I have some great mobility movement videos on the YouTube channel as well too. You can check them all out. So pretty much everything, even if you're not all that familiar with these exercises, like live with me doing it now, go to the YouTube channel, look them up. They're all there. You know? Okay. Now let's talk about this. This is another thing that I'm going to be doing, and you know, I love doing this. It's like meditating when you're moving. If there's nothing better you can do, I think, for your health, for your mental health, physical health, than to walk every single day. You know, that I just love walking. And this is what I'm going to do. Besides those workouts, which I'm going to be doing earlier in the day, I typically work out around 12 o'clock. Like, I'm always training clients in the morning. My schedule generally opens up around 11, 12, right around then, and that's generally when I work out. So those are the workouts I just described, the time I'm going to be doing them. But then later in the day, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, now in New York, you know, it's great. It's light till like 7:30. I'm going to take a 30-minute walk. And I'm going to do a 30-minute walk Monday through Saturday. And this is the interesting thing. This is this new thing, knees over toes. There's a book that came out. Actually, a young guy wrote the book during the pandemic about a year and a half ago. And it's called Knees Over Toes, meaning that there's a saying that he came up with, saying that walking 100 steps backwards is like walking 1,000 steps forward. There's also a famous like powerlifter, Mark Bell. He's got a really popular YouTube channel. They're working together. He really popularized it too. See, when you walk backwards, your knee does extend over your toe. Like traditionally in fitness, you never, like people would say, oh, when you're squatting, don't let your knee go beyond your toe, because there's like a shearing force. There's a great force in your knee. But a little bit of shear, a little bit of that could be a really good thing, because it can strengthen your knee if you micro progress and not overdo it. So I have to say, I've been walking 10 to 15 minutes backwards now for about 6 weeks, part of this 30-minute walk. Like, I'll walk 5 minutes forwards. People think I'm kooky. I turn around, I walk 5 minutes backwards. And I've been doing this for about 6 weeks, and my knee is definitely feeling better. There's no question about it. My knee is nowhere where I'd like it to be, but it's definitely feeling better. I would try it. If you have knee issues, I would just simply start walking backwards. Start with like 100 steps. If you wake up the next day and your knee feels good, do 110 steps the next day, and try to get up to 10, 15 minutes of walking backwards. I mean, a 30-minute walk is great. And then what I'm going to progress to, and I already purchased it, is a sled, meaning that I'm going to do that walking backwards weighted with a belt pulling the sled. So if you want to learn more about this, I'm going to do some videos about this along my progression. But go on YouTube, obviously, put Google, put in the search knees over toe guy, and you're going to see all these videos come up, and you're going to hear him explaining everything. He's also pretty active on Instagram too, knees over toe guy. It's great. I think it's one of the safest and easiest way to rehab like a troubled knee without doing too much. And obviously, there's ways to take this to the next level. Like, he gets into this really aggressive type training where your knee is always beyond your toe. But start off really easy. The key to anything into rehabbing any injury is, I like the term micro progression, meaning that you gotta just slowly make things harder. Like, you can even do things that are like bad for your body, but if you slowly progress to them, it's amazing what you can do. And that's kind of the concept behind this as well too. So that's what I'm going to do. Plus, I'm burning some extra calories. It's feeling good. I think it's a great thing for your health and everything. And then Sundays, like which I'm going to do today, right after this live stream, is I'm going to take a 2-hour or 90-minute to 2-hour walk. It depends. I have 2 different loops. I'm in New York. There's a wonderful loop where I walk along the Hudson River, which takes me 90 minutes. And then there's my 2-hour walk, which I go through like the North County Trail, which is the old, actually, like Metro North Railroad. Like, there's this trail path that goes for like endlessly. which goes like all the way up to like Albany from New York, which is really, really incredible. Those are my 2 walks. So I'm probably going to do the Hudson River one today because it's kind of nice out of New York today. Okay, so let's go over how I'm going to modify the diet plan. See, typically, you know, when I talk about the diet, the intermittent fasting, we're always talking about like reducing calories, like losing weight. But this particular plan, I'm going to stay at maintenance calories. So let's see what we got here. Let's see what Gene's got. I have been careful, but it's scary how weight as a way of creeping back up. I weighed myself 280. I know, Gene, it's happened, but you took a month off. I think it's good for your long-term weight loss, though. Don't get discouraged. It will come right back off as soon as you get right back on it. It will. Just try not to get discouraged. Just get started, and it will come off again for sure. I'm sure, like we talked about. I know 2 weeks ago we talked about that. Even though you felt like you gained, I think you were 278 2 weeks ago, but you felt like your clothing wasn't wasn't any bigger. You know what I mean? So I don't think you maybe, a lot of it is water weight. You know, when you were doing so good and then you take a break, and I don't think you probably increased your body fat all that much. So try not to get discouraged. Okay, let's go over the diet plan. Okay, so since this is one of the first times I'm talking about intermittent fasting and not necessarily like looking to like lower body fat, I'm gonna use intermittent fasting in this diet plan to go into a positive energy balance. So I'm gonna try to put on some muscle and not increase my body fat. So I don't know if you would call this a clean bulking. Maybe you would call it a little bit of that. You know, the kind of a bodybuilding term like bulk, like, you know, you want to put on some muscle. Okay, so I'm gonna be going into a small positive energy balance each week to put on muscle. So some days I'm gonna be probably eating anywhere between say 300 to 500 extra calories. And how I'm gonna do that is and you're gonna see, I'm gonna show you my meals and everything. I'm gonna eat my normal, probably 2 meals a day with maybe a snack. But when it comes to like my pre, intra, and post workout, I'm gonna definitely take a shake and increase my protein, taking a little bit of carbohydrates, and I'm also gonna take some supplements. So this is what I'm gonna do. Like before I work out, maybe 20 minutes before I work out, I'm gonna take about 6 ounces of beet juice. And I did a short on this. See, beets juice is really interesting because beets are naturally high in nitrates. And nitrates gets converted into nitric oxide within the body, which vasodilates, which is great for blood flow. It's also shown that it also increases exercise performance because, you know, nitric oxide is such a great molecule to increase exercise performance. So since I'm really going to be going for it, I'm going to take maybe 6, maybe even 8 ounces of beet juice. See, typically in the past, I wouldn't want to do this because I don't want the calories, right? 8 ounces of beet juice is 100 calories, 25 grams of carbs. So I didn't want the sugars, I didn't want the carbs. But now that I'm looking to go into a positive energy balance and I really want to kind of go for it in the gym, I'm going to do that 6 to 8 ounces of beet juice. I also like celery juice too because I want more than 8 ounces. I want like about 16 ounces. Celery juice is also pretty high in nitrates, but it's only like 35 calories for like an 8 ounces of celery juice. So that's not a big deal to add the calories there. I'm also going to do some protein powder. I'm probably going to go with 25 grams of protein powder, maybe even more. Okay. And I'm also going to add, this is kind of interesting, L-citrulline is like a non-essential amino acid. But what L-citrulline does, it's a very popular supplement, and you'll see it in like pre-workout, like powders and drinks. L-citrulline is like a precursor to arginine. So arginine is like the amino acid, which helps make nitric oxide as well. So it's a really good thing. Plus, it gives you like a really good pump in the gym. So I'm going to take about 3 to 4 grams of L-citrulline. I wouldn't go over 6 grams. The negative thing about L-citrulline, not a negative thing, but the negative thing about a lot of these pre-workout powders when you buy the powders is that they don't give you enough of these ingredients. Like you'll see a proprietary formula, it'll say like L-citrulline, along with 5 other things, it'll say 5 grams. You really need like about 3 grams of L-citrulline. I think it's a safe supplement, so I buy L-citrulline separately. And I take a scoop or 2. I'll put that in the drink as well. I'm also going to start taking creatine. If there's one supplement that is like works that makes you stronger, that makes you more muscular, that increases your hypertrophy, see, cognitively it's even good, is creatine. It's like the super supplement. There's been like incredible amount of studies on it. It's an incredible supplement to take. And how creatine works is kind of interesting. See, creatine, it's like, okay, let's go over a little science of creatine. So creatine is going to help you make ATP. See, all muscle contraction is fueled by ATP, adenosine triphosphate, 3 phosphate molecules. Now, the muscles store ATP in the form of ATP right in the muscle, and it can last for maybe 3 to 5 seconds, roughly, depends, of muscle contraction. So, for example, you can hold your breath, right? You can deadlift like 1 rep, super heavy. You burn up that ATP in that 3 to 5 seconds. But the next energy system is that phosphocreatine phase. For example, ATP gets turned into ADP, adenosine diphosphate. And then what happens is that the muscles are going to grab a little creatine, which is stored there, to make ATP. And that's like your second energy system. That could last maybe 30 seconds, maybe like a little bit more. So if you take creatine as a supplement, you can store more creatine within the muscle, which can help you make ATP. So it makes you stronger. It gives you like more muscle. It does so many things. Plus, the more creatine you store in the muscle, the more water you're going to hold, similar to carbohydrates. So you can instantly like volumize the muscle cell. So, plus now that you're a little bit stronger, like for example, let's say you can bench press like 200 pounds for 10 reps. You start taking creatine, within like a week, you get doing 11 reps. You're making an extra rep, so you're going to get the training response there too. So I'm going to start taking a little bit of creatine. I go lower in dose than most people. Most people like to say, oh, you should load creatine, meaning that take 5 grams a day, maximize your creatine stores, then maybe reduce it. I've done really well with just taking 2.5 grams. In a couple of weeks, I'm pretty much loaded. Plus, cognitively, I think that works too. I feel like I think better when I take a little bit of creatine. So I'm definitely going to do some creatine. And you don't necessarily have to do it in your pre- or post-workout stage. You can almost do it anytime. Oh, Mike, hey, Michael, how you doing? No, I appreciate you showing up. Thanks. Hey, yeah. And I'll review everything at the end too. So I'm glad you made it, Mike. That's great, Michael. Cool. So I'm also going to take the creatine. I'm also going to take a little beta-alanine. So beta-alanine, same thing, non-essential amino acid. It helps you, it reduces acid within your system. So when you're doing those like hard intervals, like if I'm doing like a hard like work set, it's going to help you. It'll help your performance. It's going to stop that burn. It like buffers the burn a little bit, enables you to work a little bit harder in the gym. The only negative thing with beta-alanine is that it gives you that little tingly feeling in your skin sometimes, which is not dangerous. Some people don't like it, but most people can tolerate like 3. I think the exact number is 3.2 grams before they get that little tingle. So that's going to be kind of like, I'll tell you exactly how to do it. Hey, Mike, you ever try pine? No, I never did. Pine pollen. I never did. I'm going to look that up. I'm not even sure what you mean by that. I'm not familiar with it. Kind of interesting. I'm sure there's something to it, but I'll look it up right after this for sure. And this is how I'm going to do. So this is actually a big drink. So say I'm getting 16 ounces in this thing with say 25, 30, maybe even more grams of protein. I'm probably going to drink half of it about 20 minutes before my workout. I definitely will check it out. I'm curious to know what it's all about for sure. I love learning stuff from everyone showing up. So I'm going to drink probably half of this maybe 20 minutes before. Then I fill it up with water, fill it up to the top. I use like a 16-ounce container. And then I'm going to sip it as an intra-workout shake while I'm working out. And then I'm probably going to even do a little bit more. I may even take a little bit more protein in post-workout as well. So I may take in about 50 grams of protein before intra and right after the workout. And that's probably, like those calories are probably going to put me in that positive energy balance. See, typically when I would do like my cardio, I would do it fasted, or sometimes I would work out fasted a lot. Or sometimes, like we talked about in the past, I may take some essential amino acids, like essential amino acids are those complete proteins, but they pretty much have almost no calories. So instead of maybe doing like a 300-400 calorie shake, I may have just taken in some essential aminos, which are 10, 15, 20 calories. So that's the big difference, the big change I'm going to make to the diet to put me in a positive energy balance to put on a little muscle over the next 8 weeks. Let's see what James got. Not familiar with creatine. Is that a pill form of powder? Oh, James, if you never took creatine, you're not gonna believe it. I mean, start off easy. It can come in different ways, but there's a certain brand. The best one is called Crepure. I'll give you a link below. There's, like for example, you get creatine monohydrate. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. there's so many different. You can get it from China. You can get it, I mean, there's a company in Germany called 𝙒𝘃𝙏𝑃URE, 𝙒𝘃PURE. I'll link it below this. Who's done most of the studies on creatine, and they make the highest quality creatine. So that's the brand I always look for. You can take it in pill form. You can take it in powder form. Some people feel you absorb it a little bit better if you get that little bit of that insulin spike if you take it in with a little carbohydrate. I don't even think you really have to, but I think it's a great thing to add to your pre-post workout shake. If just Google creatine, James, you're not going to believe it. It's probably the most studied supplement. You talk to any expert, PhD in like in physical in the sciences who study this stuff, they're all going to say creatine truly does work. It's shocking, but you are going to gain some weight, so don't get discouraged. You're going to gain 2-3 pounds because you're going to be holding more water in the muscle, and you're going to get more muscular. I think cognitively, I feel better when I take it too. I think it's an incredible supplement, creatine for sure. That beats the gals don't like it. Some women don't like it because they do gain a couple pounds. And they say, oh, but I think it's a good supplement for everyone to take. And you can even just do 1 gram a day. I think you'll get benefit from it. Because most of the research is going to say take 5 grams, but I think you even 1 gram you'll see benefit. I mean, the brand that I take too, 𝙒𝘼𝙏𝙏 too. I like that brand a lot. I take it. That's another German company, but it's the creeper trademark in the 𝙒𝘼𝙏 creatine. But there's another good company. So many people sell it. I think Muscle Feast. That's a good like bodybuilding type supplement company. Tiger Fitness. That's another good one. They sell it. So many companies sell it. Bear Nutrition, I think they sell it too, the creeper. But I'll put some links below it. Yeah, Miller's saying typically powder. Yes, typically a powder. I would agree because you would have to take 7 or 8, capsules to get that 3, 4, 5 grams. So I think I have a 𝙒𝘼𝙏 one in my house, and it's 800 milligram capsules. So to get like 2.5 grams, I gotta take, what's that, 3 or 4 of them. But I don't mind swallowing a bunch of capsules though. Okay. And this is the big change I'm gonna make with my macros too. See, I typically, when it comes to protein, I typically would only eat, say, 0.9 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So my formula. I talk about it every single week, on this live stream. I'm gonna up my protein and go like 1 gram per pound of body weight, and that's gonna be like that extra 50 grams or so I'm taking in with the with those pre and post workout shakes, right? I'm still going to keep my carbs relatively low, but I could creep up to maybe 200 grams, which could be 800 calories on some days with these shakes. And I'm going to adjust fat along the way because, fat, I do a relatively high fat diet from the whole natural foods I'm eating, but I don't want to overdo it, with the calories. I just want to be in somewhat of a positive energy balance. So I may use MyFitnessPal and start tracking calories and see how that goes. And I may adjust fat a little bit. Okay, Mike, do you still think a whole day of fasting each week? Yeah, I think that is a great idea. Gene, I would almost rather you do that. Like, for example, I'd rather you eat more calories. Make sure you're getting all your proper vitamins, minerals, nutrients, don't go so low. And if you can fast for like 24 hours once or twice a week, and then maybe, but I do want you to do what you think works best for you. But I love that. I love a 24-hour fast once or twice a week. Incredible way to reduce calories. Amazing way to keep insulin levels low. I think it's a great thing to do. And then you can eat more normally on the other days. You can go instead of eating just 6 like you want to, you can go 1,500 calories. You'll do great. Prioritize protein, just eat super healthy protein and vegetables and eat a little bit, enjoy yourself, and then just do like 2 24-hour fasts a week. I think that's a great approach. But I want you to do what's going to work for you. I know you like to go really low calorie, but I do like that. Let's see what S. Miller, what we got here. I fast the entire day yesterday. Ooh, snake juice. Yeah, no. Miller to kind of turn me on to the snake juice. I think it's good. It's great. It's got some electrolytes in there. That's great. Nice job. There we go. Okay, so let's just say, so I'm going to fool around with fat. So like if I don't think things are working my way, I'll start using MyFitnessPal. I enter all my food into my macros, and I'll see, where I'm messing up. And I may keep my fat a little bit lower than I typically would because I'm going to be upping my protein and carbs a little bit. Let's see. Wanted to go 48 hours, but didn't think it would have made it throughout the work today. Yeah, I know 48 hours is definitely more aggressive. I like those 24-hour fasts. I think anyone can do a 24-hour fast. I think it's once you start going beyond that 24, or I think even 36, like you do a 24 and then you do like a 16-8 where you break your fast the next day, 36 hours. I think that's a really good strategy. But once you start going beyond that, because I know I talked about it, I did that 3-day fast, I don't know, maybe like a month ago, and I gotta say, there was a lot of pros and cons for me. I know I did that whole live stream on it. If you want to rewatch it, I think the live stream went pretty good. But it's kind of interesting. It really changed my taste buds to some degree. Like after that 3-day fast, I started craving fruit. That's why I experimented with the fruit and protein diet. I've even still been craving salads, which I think that is a good thing. But it's kind of interesting. I don't think it was. I'm not gonna rush and do a 3-day fast again. You know, I love the 24-hour fast, those 36-hour fast. I love the 18-6 to 16-8. That's more my niche when it comes to the fasting. I wouldn't say it was too much of a positive experience doing that 3-day fast. Let's see what Bill's got. Okay, if you work out at 6 a.m. but take these supplements during my 2 to 4 window, am I missing the anabolic? You know, I wouldn't be too concerned with that anabolic window. I mean, I lived and died by that for 20 years of my life. I know. I think John Ivey wrote that book, Nutrient Timing. You know, and he did tons of research, and I know, and I still think there's something to it, that anabolic window, in that, you know, once you deplete glycogen and you've had a good workout, you know, your body can probably your body is somewhat primed to store away those excess calories in the form of glycogen. But when it comes to that anabolic window, it seems like you have much more of a window than you might think. Like even if you work out in the morning and then you take in your protein in your mat and you know everything in the late afternoon, I don't think you're going to lose much. I think you're going to get a similar result. It's more important to make sure you're taking in enough of the proteins. Like it's different if you're working out in the morning and then you're eating like very little protein later in the day. That's not good. But as long as you're taking in enough protein, even if it's 7, 8, 9 hours later, I think you're gonna do just as well. And I think the new research is saying that too as well. And it's more important to just take in enough protein and the good quality food as opposed to timing it post workout. Let's see what you've got. Knowing myself that day or two of fasting each week will be a great strategy for weight maintenance, but not for losing weight. No, I think you can lose, Gene. I think you can. Just think. I mean, I think you can. I think you can definitely lose on it. But I mean, you have to believe in it. You know, your perception of things is so important in everything. If you perceive it's going to work, I think you would definitely. I think you can lose weight. Fasting for 24 hours twice a week, no question about it, and then eating like 1,500 calorie like balanced meals the other days, I think you can. Or you can mix it up. I mean, you can do 2 24-hour fasts and 1 very low calorie day, and then you're eating like 4 days. You're gonna be in a deficit, no question about it. And you may feel better, but we'll talk more about it, for sure. Okay, let's go to the next slide. What we got here? Okay, so this is also, and so that's going to be like my macros and my proteins and the shake, and then I want to talk about like my fasting schedule. I'm going to keep it really simple over the next 8 weeks. So I'm going to do more of a time restricted eating. So I'm going to follow that 18-6 every single day. You know me, I like this. Even though it might be better to take some protein in earlier in the day, I'm still going to skip breakfast. I might do the essential amino acids earlier in the day. I'm definitely doing them as snacks. Let's go. I know you've heard me talk about. Let's go amino acids again. Amino acids are the building block to proteins, right? When you hear the term complete protein, you're talking about the 9 essential amino acids. So the essential amino acids are the amino acids that your body can't produce on their own. You have to get them through your diet. The non-essential ones your body can make on their own. And that's why it's been really popular for years, the branched chain aminos, the BCCs. You see them like bodybuilders and supplements. The BCCs are 3 of the essential amino acids: leucine, isoleucine, and valine. And for many years, people felt like all you needed was the branched chain aminos to put on muscle and to maintain muscle mass. But it seems like all the new research is indicating, no, you really need all 9. So instead of just taking a branched chain amino acid supplement, I lean more towards an essential amino acid supplement. essential amino acid supplement. And the nice thing about it is that they're very low in calories. So you can take in, say 15 calories, maybe 20 calories, and get like the same amino acid ratio of taking in like a 30-gram scoop of whey protein, which can be 125 calories. So that's the real advantage of essential aminos. You're getting all the amino acids, which can help your protein synthesis, help you put on muscle without necessarily the calories. Okay, so I might do that also in the morning. I'm going to see how it goes, but I might do that. So I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do my typical just black coffee, drink a ton of water too, half my weight in ounces of water a day, keep my electrolytes up. I lean towards like Pellegrino water because it's high in magnesium, high in those minerals. And then I'm typically going to do my my workout around noon. And you see, I'm not truly doing 18-6 because I am going to be breaking that fast with those pre, intra, and post-workout shakes. So I made a note of that. So even though I'm doing 18-6, it's kind of going to be a little bit more like a 16-8 because if you're counting those protein shakes. But I'm still going to eat my two main meals a day. I'm going to show you pictures of them, high in prioritizing protein, high in protein. And I'm also going to increase those essential aminos. Like I'll probably do an essential amino acid supplement. There's a lot of good ones. I like 𝘾𝙃, Ben Greenfeld's. I like his. There's a whole bunch of them. I got a whole bunch of them in my house. Let's see what James got. I started December 26th, and I'm trying to get to 8 to 10%. Well, you want to get down low, James, body fat. Just have to be patient. It takes time. This is for Gene. Oh, great. That's good encouragement, Gene. James, I'd love to see a picture of you at 8 to 10%. I haven't been down to 8 in a long time, but I'm gonna try it for my 60th birthday. I'm gonna guess I'm about 12 now, somewhere around the 12% range. But you start seeing those odds pretty good around 10. Everyone's different, but that's good. And I really love when everyone encourages other in the comments in the room. I really think it's great to have the community, everyone helping each other out. I love it. I appreciate your comments, Mike. I will increase my daily intake. That sounds good. Do that, and I'm committed to undertake another 30 days starting tomorrow. That sounds great, Gene. I love it. I think that's great. So I'm probably going to do those essential aminos. So like the big change I'm going to make than what I typically do is that instead of just like doing this fasting to lower my body fat, I'm going to go into a positive energy balance. I'm going to eat a good amount more protein. I'm going to really increase my pre, post, intra workout shakes. I'm going to up my essential amino acids. Instead of just eating, I'm going to eat at least another 50 grams of protein a day and increase these essential aminos for sure. And instead of me constantly changing my fasting strategy, which I've done in the past a lot, I'm going to stick to an 18-6, which is I really like a 16-8 because I'm doing those pre and post workout shakes. And then what's the note I made here? All right, and then Sunday, which is my day today, I'm still going to probably keep that as an old Matt day because I really do like that. Like I haven't eaten yet today. I like doing these live streams and then taking like my 90-minute or 2-hour walk. And then I'm probably going to do my typical 2-hour feasting window, me and my wife. I don't think anyone's coming over today. I'll have like a nice big meal, which is really like a meal and a half. And I'm going to prioritize protein. I'm going to show you some pictures of my meals. I'm going to do this for the next 8 weeks and see how it goes. And then after the 8 weeks, hopefully I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to have 3-4 pounds of muscle on me. Then I'm going to transition into more of, I want to try to maintain that muscle that I put on. Then I'm going to try to do it like what James is doing. I'm going to try to get down to sub 10% body fat for my 60th birthday. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, what hurts me personally is that, I'm 60, I got some injuries, my knee. That knee's a real issue. If I can squat like I used to, just put 225 on the bar and just bang out those 25, 30 rep sets. It's so much easier to put the muscle on, to maintain, to get to those low body fat levels. But I'm gonna try to do it. I'm gonna be doing a lot of sled pulling. Hopefully my knee will feel a little bit better, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna try to. Sometimes I even did a live stream about maybe a year ago where I tried to do like both things at the same time, like put on muscle mass and at the same time lower my body fat, which you can do that, but it's really hard. So this time I'm going to split it up into 2 different sequences. I'm going to take the 8 weeks, try to increase my muscle mass without really increasing my body fat. Hopefully, if I can just maintain my body fat levels at around 12%, and then once I have that extra muscle mass on me, then I'm going to start, reducing calories, be a little more aggressive with the fasting, cut back on the carbs, reduce those pre and post workout shakes, still keep my protein up, and I'll try to get down to sub 10% body fat for my 60th birthday. So that's going to be that's the big picture plan. We'll see how it goes. So let's do a little Q&A, but let's go over, I want to show you some of the meals and how I'm going to like increase my protein and still eat really healthy. And I love this meal. And like I talked about before, for some reason, ever since I did that 3-day fast, I just been craving like salads and a little bit more fruit. So I've been upping that a little bit. See, and also, just like beets and celery, arugula is incredibly high in nitrates too. Like 100 grams of arugula, which is exactly what I have in the salad. I buy those big like 500 gram packages of arugula, and I break it up into third. That's like 100 grams. It has like 500 milligrams of nitrates in it. And most of the research shows, when it comes to like nitrates, like in beets and whole foods like this, if you're 150 pounds and you really want to like increase your nitric oxide and really get enough for it to like do something, you want about 400 milligrams of nitrates. And 100 grams of arugula will give you like 500 milligrams of nitrate. So that's a nice big arugula salad. Let's see what James got here. What about your Saturday cheat day? I guess not. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not in this plan for the 8 weeks, so we'll see how it goes. It's interesting. I went to a 60th birthday party last night, and I cheated a little bit, but I didn't even cheat that much. It was like it was good, because it was like a raw seafood bar, so I ate tons of shrimp and stuff like that, so it actually worked out okay. So I'm not going to probably do my Saturday night cheat night. And I'm also going to be careful with the wine and stuff like that. I'm going to try to pre pretty good. Maybe a little bit of wine here and there, but not too much. And I'm not going to do that like programmed cheat day. At least, hopefully not. You never know. Maybe 8 weeks is a long time, right? Maybe 1 or 2 nights will sneak in there a little bit. I think it's my brother's birthday coming up in April, so maybe that'll be a cheat night or cheat day or something. So this is kind of how I've been eating for the last week. I really loved it. This is really a big salad. It's hard to see it. 2 big pieces of this is filet mignon, which I absolutely love. I sear it on both sides. We have a whole avocado here, an orange, just a couple of blueberries just for a little bit of flavor, and that 100 grams of the arugula salad to increase the nitrates. And I'm a big believer in extra virgin olive oil, high in those polyphenols, and the balsamic vinegar. See, the balsamic vinegar is so good, because balsamic vinegar is very similar to apple cider vinegar, high in acetic acid, which helps control blood sugar. So sometimes I would do a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar before a meal, but if I'm doing, I must have at least a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar in there, and I love the taste. I'm also getting that good blood sugar control. Hey, Rob Crowley, yes. Definitely cheat on the birthday. Yes, Rob. I'm looking forward to the birthday. Your birthday is going to be great. Definitely. I haven't seen you in a while, too. It's really this COVID thing. It's like crazy still. But hopefully things are getting better. All right, so let me show you another meal. I got a couple of different salads here. Let me close this. Okay. Well, this is just a typical idea of how I'm like doubling up on protein. And this is like would be another typical like lunch for me after my pre-post workout, intra-workout shake. My first meal when I break my fast at 2 o'clock. It's hard to see the size of this plate. This is a tremendous plate. I love these dishes. These are dishes. Me and my wife went to Italy. I don't know. I think these are before the kids were born. We've had these dishes for like 20 some odd years. I think this is 𝙒𝘼𝙏𝘾. That classic dishware where they paint the dishes. I love these dishes. My wife loves them too. It's like an oversized dish. So this is a good amount of smoked salmon. I love smoked salmon. This is a can of sardines. This must be 50, 60, 70 grams of protein right here. Let's see, Mike, when you are 60, please share. I appreciate it. Yes, at the end of summer, I'm turning 60. I'll definitely do it. I'll see how good. If I look really good, I'll throw some pictures up there. We'll see. But last year, I couldn't do it. Like, it didn't go well. I can't remember exactly what happened. I think it's the pandemic, and maybe we did some traveling. Like, we went out to the beach a couple times. It just threw me off. But I'm gonna try to do it for my 60th. We'll see how it goes. But I will definitely share, no doubt. So I'm doubling up on the protein. This is some golden beets. Once again, high in nitrates. The beets, even red or gold beets. We got some string beans, some avocado. Obviously, I eat an avocado every single day, and some blackberries. So that's another typical day of how I would eat. Let me pull up another one here for you. I'm probably gonna increase. Like, I I lean towards being a pescatarian most of the time, but when it comes to putting on muscle and everything, I do increase the amount of red meat in my diet. It's no question about it. I find it helps. I also think red meat is also higher naturally in creatine. I should have mentioned that earlier when it comes to the creatine. Creatine is found, like your body makes creatine. I should have said that too. Like anything, just like, and your body makes nitric oxide, everything. But unfortunately, all these things decline with age. Just like collagen, your body makes collagen for your skin, hair, and nails, but that declines with age. That's why I take a collagen protein powder. But red meat is probably the highest source of creatine. Salmon's high in creatine too, but I find that when I want to increase my muscle mass, I do go back to eating more red meat for sure. So this is actually buffalo chili. I absolutely love it. And I do a little less beans than the recipe calls for. We go like 4 pounds of bison, 4 pounds of buffalo. We use maybe 6 or 7 green peppers, a couple of onions. I think I'm gonna make this tonight because I'm just looking at it, really making me want to have it. Like low sodium, tomato sauce. We put I think 1 can of light beer, and 1 can of kidney beans. It comes out incredible, and I just love it. And it's hard to see how big this is. This is also a tremendous bowl. I must be getting 60, 70 grams of protein, maybe more, in a bowl of chili like this. And I always like to have my 2 different, that's my other rule. You always want 2 different colors of fruits and vegetables with every meal. Different vitamins, different minerals, different nutrients. Strawberries like a free food. The net carbs in strawberries, nothing, but it's loaded with, fiber and polyphenols. And avocado is superfood, right? Loaded with potassium, right? Loaded with fiber. I love a meal like this too. Like, once again, like the salad. Can you eat like this in Asia? Truthfully, I'm not sure. I don't really know what's really available in Asia, like diet-wise. I think you can mimic it. I would think you could. I'm not sure what's in the supermarkets. I know rice is really big in Asia. So hopefully you can. You look like you're in good shape too, by the way. You look like your arms are in good shape. Let's see what Gene's got. I'd like to say Dr. Ken Berry says there's no evidence that red meat is. Oh, I totally agree. I don't think there's really any evidence either in it. But I just, I like leaner cuts of red meat. I don't particularly like the fattier cuts that I know people. I think Dr. Ken Berry, I know when he does carnivore, he said, no, you want the fat. I like to still stay relatively leaner. But I agree. I don't think there's anything bad about red meat. I just personally enjoy eating fish, and I love like that pescatarian Mediterranean-ish thing. I love salmon. I love shellfish. I love like Arctic char. I love all fish. I'm a tremendous fish eater. So if I had to choose between the 2, fish or red meat, just for taste, I would go with fish. And I love blackened fish. I love making it all different ways. My wife makes it in tin foil, like the white flakier fish. But I totally agree, Gene. I think red meat, it's great. So I'm gonna be like, this is a typical. I must have also at least probably 8, 10, 12 ounces of this is a less expensive cut of meat because the filet mignon is expensive. I think this is like actually sandwich meat. It was really, really inexpensive. It was almost like a pound. Made it, cut it up, throw it on top of like tomatoes, or arugula salad and spinach salad combo, little blueberries, just perfect way to eat. I think that was a lunch actually that day. Do I have one more? Yeah, no, I think I showed you, but I thought I had one more. Oh, maybe I showed you everything. Do I have this one? That's Gene's comment. I guess that's it. Oh, maybe I had one more. Okay, let me pull everything up. I think I showed you all the meals just to give you a little examples. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So that's going to be pretty much my plan over the next 8 weeks. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try to stick to it. I think James brought up the biggest point, my cheat meal on Saturdays. We'll see how that goes. Since I want to be, what? Like, for example, James, if I know I'm going to have like a cheat meal on Saturday where I'm going to really be upping everything, maybe I would like not do that pre and post workout shake that day. I'll play it by ear, but I'm going to try to stick to it as good as I can. Oh, this is good. So any other questions, guys? We're going like an hour, 15 minutes. I know I'm not sure if people I can tell just by the people in the room, like a lot of people seem to be more interested when I got to the diet plan and the intermittent fasting. The workout schedule, maybe that was kind of hard to do on a live stream because maybe people want to see the exercises. I know we have a lot of people in the room now, but earlier there wasn't as many. So if Any questions about anything about the workout, about intermittent fasting? We can change topics, talk about anything you like. You know, I feel pretty good. I got my coffee here. So any questions about anything? I'm going to give it a minute before, because I know there's like a 2-minute delay. And let me ask you this: is anyone going to try to follow this plan with me? I know Krill. I don't think Krill's here now. I'm sure Krill always watches the replay. I think he's, you know, it's probably late where he is. He wanted me to do a video on how to increase like how to bulk up, increase muscle mass. So I had this in mind, but I know James wanted one too, to get rid of that last bit of belly fat. That's a tough thing. I know, James, if you're really looking to get down to that like 8%, I definitely would track everything though. You know, to really get down to that 8%, I just would track it all. I know it's a little bit of work, but I've done it. I'm sure you've done it too. If you're like, to get down to that 8%, you really got to use like a MyFitnessPal or one of those things and just adjust and just track it all, because calories do count. I know you know what you're doing, you know, so I'm sure you're familiar with that. But it's all, you know, it's sometimes unless you really write everything down and track everything, you don't really realize it. So that's my rule. I personally don't like doing it, because I find it so tedious, and I've done it in the past. But if things aren't going my way, I like to use MyFitnessPal. Oh, my daughter likes Chronometer. That's another really good one too. And then adjust. Well, I think it's fun. I think we're getting some. Let's see what James got. I haven't cheated since I started, but for Easter, well, that sounds good, James. I mean, that's good. I mean, I forgot about that. That's a great. I'll have a cheat day on Easter too. You're doing great. I mean, I'm really excited for you. You know, I haven't seen 8% body fat levels in a long time, you know, but I know you can do it. That's going to be great. Wonderful. Oh, there you go. So any other question? I think we got a whole bunch of people still here. Anything you want to talk about in particular? If anyone's going to do this with me, why don't you give me a thumbs up and just let me know you're going to do it. So I know what James is doing. I know what Gene is doing. If anyone else is going to do it, let me know. It'll be kind of fun. Right. Also, too, you know, leave some comments after this. So I'll be going live again in 2 weeks. So if you want me to cover anything specific, let me know. Next weekend is going to be really exciting for me. I'm going to go visit my son at college. He's in a big track meet. He's actually running really well. I say again. Okay, not related, but I'm doing a big. Oh, you are? Well, McGrail Big 3 for the last 2 months, and it's been life-changing fun back. That's wonderful. Okay, see. So for everyone else, Stu McGill, he wrote a number of textbooks on how to like fix back pain, and I've actually spoken to him on the phone. He's a really good guy. I've read all his textbooks, and he has these classic exercises called the Big 3. And what it is, it's actually like a plank. It's a bird dog, which is like kind of like you get on your hands and your knees. You make like a table, and then you lift one arm and one leg, like kind of like pointing like a bird. Like a dog that would like fetch a bird, like a bird dog, and then like kind of like a modified sit up. It's not even really a sit up. It's kind of like you lay on your back and bend your knees and just slightly lift your like shoulders off the ground, and you get a nice like non-movement contraction of the abs. They're 3 great movements, great for lower back. I personally do them every single day as well, Gene. I'm so glad it's really helped your back. It's been a great thing for me to do too, because I've definitely dealt with back pain over my life for sure. Like I said, every disc in my lower back is herniated or bulged. Let's see, Manish. Mike, I have some chocolate during the Easter holidays, but then do a 24-hour fast to get back. I think that's a great way to do it. I think that's great. Like the day after Easter, do a fast, or maybe the day before Easter, do a 24-hour fast. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Hey, Alma, let's see. Oh, you hung in there the whole time, Alma. I appreciate it. When you're doing your walk, is pace important to you? And walking back, so that sounds challenging to balance. You know, it was challenging the first couple of days, but I have to say, the balance is not an issue. It's more like I don't want like a biker running me over. I don't want to like step in, you know, and trip. But the balance is I get used to. It's actually proprioceptively, I think it's actually been really good for me. I find the walking to be more relaxing for me, and I don't want to add a component of trying to like keep a hard pace. I'm gonna guess I'm walking at about 3.4 miles an hour, which to me is like a decent pace. People pass me though, you know, so I say I'm at a comfortable pace. My heart rate's relatively low. It's only maybe 90 beats per minute. So I would call it my base building heart rate, you know. So, but I want to enjoy those walks. It's kind of like meditating when I'm moving. When I start pulling the sled backwards, it's going to change a little bit. it may not be as enjoyable. I want to see how that goes. I've only done it once so far, pulled the sled, but we'll see how that goes. I may pull the sled on Sundays, you know, when I do the longer walks, like break it up, maybe do like a 45-minute walk and then do a good 10-minute sled pull and start there. But we'll see how it goes. Let's see. A crunch with your hands under your lower back. Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. You explained it better than me, Miller. That's for sure. That's the exact way to do it of the big three. A crunch with your hand behind your back. Because Stuart McGill, he wants you to keep that neutral spine by putting your hand behind your back. He doesn't want you to like pelvic tilt. He doesn't want the lumbar flattening to the ground. He wants to like really stabilize and create strength and stability with the neutral spine. You know, it's good. I think they're three great movements for sure. Let's see what James. At 54 years, do you think it's harder to gain muscle and lose body fat? Unfortunately, it always is. You know, it's probably hormonal. You know, for hormonal reasons. But some people, hey James, who knows? Maybe hormonally you're the same as when you were 30 years old. It's hard to say. At 54, I would say, unfortunately, it probably is going to be a little bit harder. And plus too, but if you're not banged up like me, if your joints, if all your joints are good and you can work out how you want to, you know, I've seen guys and gals both look incredible in their 50s, no doubt about it. You know, and you know, it's hard to say. I don't know if you ever tested your hormone levels. I've never tested mine. Maybe this time when I turn 60, I'll test them. But it's interesting. You know, you look at pictures of some of these old time guys. I look at Jack LaLanne when he was 50. The guy that was like superhuman, looked unbelievable. Guys like Frank Zane and things like that looked incredible in their 50s. You know, I think Frank Zane did a book when he turned 50. The cover of the book, he looked unreal on it. You know, he was amazing. But he was interesting. He would take, I think, Frank Zane. I heard an interview with him recently on Escape Your Limits, the podcast. Escape Your Limits is a good podcast if you're interested in fitness. The guy who does it, he has a fitness company. He produces all those functional pieces of equipment. But he interviews a lot of people like within the industry. And he interviewed Frank Zane. And Frank Zane used to he'll take like 400 or 500 like capsules a day, mostly essential amino acids, things like that, way before anyone else was doing it, and like tons of supplements. Really interesting. That was great. All right, good. All right, guys. Any other questions? I'm so glad everyone stayed this long. Let's see. Let's give another minute. Let's take Alma. Okay. Any advice on shoulder impingement working out? It's been really, yeah, I know, Alba. I have a similar thing. You know, like I said, I tore that labrum in my shoulder. Snowboarding, you know, 20 years ago, and I do have impingement, meaning the AC joint, the acromioclavicular joint, the AC joint. I have a bone spur there, so it's a little thicker. It's interesting. You know what I do? I mean, this is somewhat aggressive. I don't want you to mess up your shoulder with impingement, but even Peter Attia talks about it too. Hanging, but you got to start off really, really easy. See, I find that I do my own version of hanging in that, like that exercise I'm talking about. You know, like I grab the lat bar. This shirt's a little tight. I grab the lat pull down bar, and then I will like release my shoulders, and then I retract my scapula. So besides doing all my rotator cuff work, where I do with the bands, I do internal, external rotation. I also lay on my side and I do external rotation and internal rotation with a dumbbell. I do them both. And then I found that movement in particular, that scapular retraction where I'm just like opening up the shoulder and letting it come down, I feel like that's helped my impingement. Plus I do a lot of all this stuff, mobility, movement. Like I do things like this, like the locomotion, things like this. I have some interesting videos. Like I'll get in that table position, like hands and knees, and I'll do that scapular motion. You know, I would just do the best you can. I would ice it. I also, I take turmeric. It's funny, I wrote a little blog post on the community section about turmeric that I feel like I wasn't eating enough of it. So I started taking Q-Med, which is like a real strong version of curcumin. I think curcumin is the active ingredient in turmeric. I find that helps. You know, anything that gets rid of inflammation. And I would just keep your shoulder, do whatever doesn't hurt. I know you know what you're doing, Alma. You know, you may know this stuff better than I do, but I would do as much pain-free movement for your shoulder as you possibly can, and just strengthen it up. You know, do the internal external rotation in every possible way of doing it. Hanging has been, that's great. Hanging has been helping. That's great. If you can, so that's very simple. If you can hang, it's great. Some people, you know, the other guy who's really into hanging is 𝙒𝘼𝙏𝘾𝙃. You know, the guy from Israel. He's the movement specialist. He thinks hanging structurally changes your shoulder. the bone structure. I heard him do this whole thing. He's an interesting guy, very cool guy. He's the guy that trained McGregor, when he had the fight. But I mean, definitely look up 𝙒�㼧𝙏 for sure. And there was even an orthopedic surgeon, I forget his name, wrote a book on hanging. He said before he operates on any of his patients, he makes them hang first for like 6 months. And he feels like so many people don't need the operation for impingement, things like that. Let's see, Gene said, even Arnold is not nearly as big as he once was. Yes, I know. And he still works out. Age matters. Yeah, unfortunately it does. You just can't, you can't fight it. Truthfully, I'm having a hard time. 60 is a big birthday. I mean, it really is. I just cannot believe I'm going to be 60. For 60 is a tough one. Maybe if I didn't have all these like little injuries, I wouldn't mind it as much. But it's definitely 60 is a tough one. It's definitely a different. Sometimes I used to find those in between years, like 60. When I turned 50, I didn't mind too much. But for some reason, like 53, 54, I know James was 54. I felt like, I don't know. Now I'm really in my 50s. But for some reason, 60, that's how I felt when I turned 30. I said, oh my God, I'm no longer a kid. I'm 30. And now, like 60, I feel like 60. Oh, I'm 60. I'm like an older person now. I'm an AARP, right? Who knows? We'll see. I guess you're lucky when you're growing older, right? It's almost a good thing. All right, any more questions, guys? Ooh, and let's try to make it to an hour and a half. We got an hour 27. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Gene. I appreciate you hanging in. It was a long one today. Thanks. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Let me know how you're doing. I really appreciate it. That sounds great. All right, so that's it. Okay. If Gene's going, let's call it quits. That sounds good. I guess I don't want to like bore anyone any longer. So we did an hour and like almost an hour and a half, hour and 28 minutes. I really appreciate everyone showing up. I love doing these things on Sunday. I'm gonna go take my walk now. Okay, have a wonderful couple of weeks. Any questions, leave them in the comment section. I'll answer them as soon as I can. So take care, everyone, and I really appreciate you all showing up. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.